Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Inquisition as we get into Confessors. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, so if you have any suggestions or if you have any requests, comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Confessors. A confessor is a free-roaming zealot priest of the Adeptus Ministorum, who uses his evangelical platform to agitate the crowds of imperial citizenry that turn up to hear his preachings. Under the spell of a confessor, swaths of citizens will rush forward to confess their personal heresies, reveal their hideous mutations, and betray their comrades as psychers or other unworthy deviants in the eyes of the God Emperor. With the ever-present threat of heresy hiding in the souls of the weak-willed amongst mankind, the ecclesiarchy can take no chance that an apostate is able to fool those who seek to bring their transgression to light. Arch-cardinals establish many training shrines within their sector to prepare their clergy for service as confessors. It is from these holy sites and institutions that many of the most talented interrogators of the Inquisition hail from. As hardened veterans of the ecclesiarchy, confessors know how to obtain the information they want in a timely manner. Many inquisitors will recruit a confessor to serve in his acolyte cell. A confessor's zeal of uncovering heresy is such that many confessors who survive their tasks with any semblance of sanity eventually become inquisitors in their own right. Filled with the power and fury of faith, legends in the shrine worlds tell of confessors who have turned back armies with a word, or incited the entire city to rebel against an apostate dictator. These individuals can be found on almost every world, commanding loyal servants of the God Emperor to seek out foul heretics and purge them. Imperial Guard and Planetary Defense Force commanders often retain a confessor amongst their advisors, bringing their rhetoric to their soldiers on the eve of battle. Occasionally, cardinals will dispatch groups of fiery confessors to lead regiments of the Frateris militia on wars of faith against the enemies of the emperor. Every confessor has his or her unique brand of oratory and interrogation. The two are not vastly dissimilar practices in the mind of a confessor. While many use finely honed speeches that have been practiced to perfection, others might call out to the crowds for responses to questions, correcting and praising them. In the interrogation chamber, these fearsome individuals would ask questions of the shriven, demanding that they incriminate themselves to gain absolution. Others whisper the correct words in the ears of imperial commanders, so that they might deliver their own sermons. In the confession chamber, a whisper in the ear and a hot brand can be very persuasive, guiding the pliant subject to a clear conclusion. The majority of confessors are trained at one of the Adeptus Ministorum's special shrines. The process is not dissimilar to the training of the Adeptus Arbitis, arbitrators, or a standard ecclesiarchy cleric, in that the confessor is drilled with the doctrines of the imperial creed and the price of straying from it. Along with training in the arts of self-defense, the neophyte confessors ply their newfound trade upon each other in an attempt to cleanse the weakness and sin from the group. Some keep the scars of this experience for life, as a reminder of the pain they must deliver to others in order to offer them the opportunity to become pure and whole in the eyes of the God Emperor. While many imperial clergy are selected to join the ranks of the confessors directly from the Schola Progenium or the other ecclesiarchical recruiting groups, there are many more who attend the training facilities at the behest of arbitus judges and inquisitors. Those who are not educated at one of the approved Adeptus Ministorum sacred places are trained in private by experienced confessors, often for a specific duty. During the plague of unbelief, during the age of apostasy of the 36th millennium, many false prophets appeared across the galaxy. Some were little more than madmen, leading rebel armies. Others spiritual demagogues who commanded the armies of entire worlds. The most powerful of these was the apostate cardinal of the world of Gathalamor, Butcherus. whose heresies reached such proportions they became known as the Plague of Unbelief. Despite controlling a vast swaths of worlds in a stellar pocket empire controlled by an iron fist, some planets began to revolt against Butcherus's heavy-handed rule. Multiple worlds successfully rebelled against the apostate cardinal's forces, as entire planetary populations rose up against their crude overlord. Eventually, a score of worlds began to free themselves from Butcherus's oppressive regime. Soon, Butcherus's coffers began to empty more rapidly than they could be filled. The apostate cardinal discovered the driving force behind these unexplained uprisings when he received a defiant message proclaiming that he was the envoy of Confessor Dolan Chirosius. The messenger told Butcherus that he was ordered to resign his position and throw himself on the mercy of the God Emperor. Most importantly, he was to remove his heresies and apostate idea of self-deliverance. The messengers remained well nailed to the gates of Butcherus's palace, where the rats and crows festered upon them. When the confessor arrived on Galthamor, Dolan was chained and driven through the streets. Soldiers from Butcherus's army whipped the confessor with flails and hurled stones at him. They stuck hooks into his flesh and hung them with weights, driving him onward with kicks and punches. The crowds, however, were not impressed. There were no cheers of approval, but there were no cries of condemnation either. Dolan was dragged across the entire continent in this manner for over 6 months. All the while, however, his fiery stare never diminished, and he never bowed to the will of Butcherus, despite the constant torment. Butcherus ordered a public trial for the confessor, but it was a complete sham and intended from the start to find Dolan guilty. After 5 months, the prosecution rested its case, and 1,000 worlds waited for the result. Dolan represented himself and freely admitted to stirring up the people of all the rebellious worlds to fight against Butcherus's rule. He used this time to appeal to the masses, although Butcherus did not understand this. It was Dolan's appeal to the masses that Butcherus allowed during the show trial that eventually led to his downfall. Following the conclusion of the show trial, Butcherus had Dolan tortured for 8 months. When at last the confessor died, his maimed body was flung from the walls of the Cardinal Palace of Galthamor for the scavenging dogs and birds to feast upon. Despite the horrendous torment inflicted upon his body, Dolan's face exuded a calm serenity and peace that lay like an aura across his corpse. Those who saw it wept openly, even though any who exhibited such grief were themselves accused of heresy and put to death. The scavengers never had their meal. Dolan's body disappeared shortly after and was never found. Cardinal Butcherus's plan to shame the confessor backfired horribly. By allowing Dolan to speak, he had given him the ability to rally the masses on all of the worlds ruled by Butcherus. When Dolan's death was announced, the entire apostate empire erupted into rebellion. The population of 1,000 worlds overthrew their cruel overseer almost at the same time. The men, women, and children were inspired by the will of the confessor and faced their enemy's gun with bare hands. Butcherus's Cardinal Palace was stormed as traitors from within his own ranks opened the gates. Butcherus fled the palace while a small handful of loyal warriors held back the tide of doom coming his way. He used tunnels to escape the palace and ran to the spaceport, giving up all he had worked for to save his own life. Just as he was boarding a shuttle, the inhabitants overran the electrical fences by piling on them to make them short-circuit. He was captured by the screaming, enraged mob, and his body was torn to pieces. And those were 40 facts on Confessors. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it inspires you to start up a small little Inquisition army. because I think that's how most Inquisition armies play, right? It's really good fluff to build on some good creepypastas, which we'll be putting out pretty soon. If you guys enjoy these types of videos, help us out, share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever social media you guys use. It really helps out the channel when you do so. And again, guys, thank you so much for participating. Don't forget that we're giving away a Primaris Redemptor Dreadnought right now. So if you check out the 40 facts on the Tau Space Marine, you guys can still have a chance to win an awesome Dreadnought, one of the new Dreadnoughts. If you guys want to support us a little bit more, help us create more videos for you guys. I know we've been we're going to start kind of lowering the amount of videos that we are putting out, just because it's kind of the busy seasons at work, so we kind of need a little bit more time to focus on work and not so much the videos. But if you want to support us a little bit more to help us create more videos for you guys, jump on over to Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. If you can't, we understand. By you sharing, liking, hitting the little bell notification icon, all that stuff tells YouTube that you like our content and that you want to see more. With that said, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.